morning, Giants. Welcome to Wake Up with Giants TV. I'm Ryan Morris, co-creator of Wake Up with Giants TV, a tribe of giants and 12 Journeys coaching. And I wrote a little book called A Journey of Riches. It's
I
wrote a little ditty about Jack and Diane. It's about kindness. So if you're a kind person or you want to be a little more kind or understand kindness, it's a great book. So you can pick that up on Amazon. And then I'm here with Mr. Nicholas T. Smith, the author of The Giants and the Smalls. It's also in his background there. Whoop, whoop. You can get that on Amazon as well. And that's the whole reason why we're here. And truthfully, being a giant is probably a lot about being kind in a lot of regards. So same, Nick. same. Maybe it's about being kind to yourself. So you have to find out, read it. We're going to talk about a lot of the stuff today.
Yeah.
We're talking about leaving your comfort zone to find some truth. And this morning, I don't have my headset on. If you've watched the shows before, it's it's behind me over here. And it's been my superpower. It's like I put on my cape of my earphones, my headset, and I can go into podcast mode, and I don't have it. And I kind of feel like I don't have like a
naked
pants.
You look naked. I didn't know you had ears.
I know, right? It's weird seeing these bad boys,
Yeah. Fly away, dude.
So, I'm also doing my work too as we go through this show. But Nick, will you talk about some of the things we have going on our website and that kind of stuff? Because there's some really cool stuff that Nick's created, some tools that you can use, and I want him to explain those to you. Real quick.
I've got a lot more coming too. So it's, our goal and purpose is to serve you. So primarily this is what this is for. When you go to my12journeys.com, go to the homepage here, take the archetype quiz. It's about 60 questions, takes about 20 minutes to go through. It's AI based, so it's going to analyze your answers and then kick out a report of where you're at currently. The whole purpose of this is to help you to see where you're at, not to anchor you in. So it's just an X on the map. That's all it is to show you where you are currently, where to do your work. And then we've built a ton of tools on the back end. So when you become a client with us, our goal is truly to transform your life. So this isn't really about, whether you work with us or not. It's what's going on in your life that's holding you up. And all of these tools are designed to really help you break free. So we've got, all of the books are accessible in there. I built out these notebook LMs, and these things are incredible because now you can dive deep into each of the 12 journeys. We've got video and audio overviews, mind maps, flashcards, things to help you really anchor in the 12 journeys. The cool thing is you can dive into each of these resources individually and watch them and really see what's going on in your brain. So there's 12 of these just to get.
There's a lot of weird stuff going on in there, Nick.
There's a lot of weird stuff. I was sitting in it this morning and I'm like, man, I feel, so when you start naming your sensations, you start to notice things. And I was like, I feel this like in the strip of my brain right here. Just not so much here and not here, but right here. Right. But when you start noticing the sensations, the beauty of these applications is that they help you to really sit with the discomfort and navigate through it. Because when you're facing change, one of the hardest parts is really being with your sensations, not your emotions, your sensations, because your emotions are already interpreted by your brain. And so our goal is to help you learn not only the 12 journeys, but the science behind them and the story that's going on there. So we use a lot of metaphor and we use a lot of research. So each of these 12 journeys is stocked full, and we'll add more resources in of things to support that journey. And so we've got 12 of those built in there. We've got our tool finder. So if you don't know which tool to use, you can actually click on that and it'll tell you, you just say, look, this is what I'm facing right now. It'll go through and search all of the 12 journeys and say, try this, this, and this as a combination. And that will help you to really fine tune where you're at.
Like a doctor, take 2 of these and call me in the morning type of scenario, right?
Good morning, Richard. Good to see you. It really is that. It's not a diagnosis. So we're not diagnosing here. We're just helping you to see. And this is something you could use with your therapist or on your own. We have all of the content for each of the books in there, so you can read the books fully. All the frameworks are in there. We have access to all of our videos. We have over 800 uploads so far and more to come. And we're going to start focusing in on shorts just to help you out a little bit more. And then the AI applications are the best. If you haven't used these, the Own Your Shit app is amazing. So if you're out there in traffic, let's say, and you hate how traffic is going, you start swearing into this app, it'll pull you back and really have you look at how you're contributing to the whole thing.
Does it swear back at you?
It does swear at you, actually. I programmed it from a church house to trucker mouth. So however you want to be talked to, it will do that for you. But there are a ton of applications. You do have to be a client or go through our 12 Journeys program to access these, and they're powerful. These are things that are going to enhance your coaching so that you can truly break free forever. That's our goal.
Hugh says, shorts. Are you coming to Yuma?
Shorts.
There.
Yuma's too hot for me, Hugh. Yuma. I think it's the Native American word for butthole. No, you're going to hate me for saying that. I know you love that place. But come in here and use the tools, my12journeys.com. There's a ton in there for you, even on the free side without access to our programs. There's a ton of content to help you out. And so we've stacked this full of information. Our intention with all of this is to help you break free. And so we hope you'll use it. If you got questions about what it looks like for you, you're always welcome to sit with either me or Ryan and go through just a quick session. And our goal there is to truly serve you. So there's no agenda behind it. We don't care if you ever work with us or not. I know it'll serve you if you do. But what our intention is to have you experience the 12 journeys and really know what it's like to go through those, because they will shift your life. So I've been using these since we started them in 2020. But I started using them from then, building them out, learning from all these interviews we've done. In 2017, when I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder and complex PTSD, everything I was trying wasn't working, even medications. And so I opted not to do medications. Don't recommend that for everybody, but found other ways to work with my mind and my stories. So it's really powerful stuff. I'm going to slur over my words here.
Hey, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. And that's a good example. You can like, even where you're at, no matter where you're at is probably the better way to say it. No matter where you're at, you can go through these journeys. You can utilize these tools to then shift and grow and to be able to just whatever version of you that you want to be, it's there.
Yeah.
It's there to support you along the way. And then there's a whole bunch of really amazing people like this guy, like that guy, like this guy. Yeah. They're on a Tribe of Giants on Facebook, this community of people that will just love you where you're at and help you along your Giants journey. So you can come over there, a Tribe of Giants on Facebook, and then subscribe on YouTube so you can see all those shorts. Hugh, you can see all the shorts. Wake up with Giants TV, hit the alert button so you know when we go live every single dang time. So
I'm afraid to stand up because you'll see my shorty shorts. So that's the beauty of these shows.
About not wearing pants on this episode, so then we just stood up and it would be a little uncomfortable for all of us.
Yeah,
we'd all leave our comfort zone real quick.
I don't have a blur feature.
Oh, jeez.
Where's it going, man? Should we introduce Zach?
Yeah, we digress a little bit, but it's awesome. Will you introduce our guest?
I will, dude. So today's episode is for anyone who's ever felt stuck in survival mode, just getting by, but not truly living. What would it take to walk away from the job, the relationship, the city you've known for 2 decades to rediscover you, Amber? Yikes. Our guest today, Zachary J. Ricketts. You go by Zach, right?
Zach is great. Zachary J is one out of legal trouble.
So yeah, he made that exact leap. So once a successful operations leader, Zach found himself starting over completely, from odd jobs to launching a property maintenance business in 2024. He rebuilt his life from the ground up, but his biggest breakthrough came not in work, but in awakening, leaving it all behind just 1 month ago to begin a bold new chapter of self-discovery and soul-driven living. He's here to share the mindset, the mess, and the magic behind that journey. So massive welcome to Zach Ricketts. Good to have you here.
Thanks for having me, guys. This is it's been a long time since I've hung out with the Giants, so it feels good to be home.
It has been a minute, and referencing back to that, we have your other episode that you did here. Kind of walk us through, leading up to that episode, and then what happened in between. And yeah,
absolutely. So that episode, I believe, was 2021. We did that episode in 2021, and I had been on a journey. Right before that episode, I left my ex-wife. I was in a separation. I was on my way to finalizing my divorce, and I had stepped out to explore who I was. I'd been married for 18 years. I married very young, still young. See, but I'd been married for 18 years, and I had been living for other people my whole life. And I decided after some therapy, some introspection, a lot of soul searching, I decided to take a leap, right, and leave, and leave behind that life. And I found you guys. I found the Giants, and it helped me to kind of piece that journey together. And so that's where I was. The last episode talks about all of that, leading up to the divorce, and then finding myself and trying to define this new life. And that started out really well, and that whole journey of self-discovery that took a wild turn, right? I had gotten into another relationship and I found a lot of comfort in being codependent, and I gave up this journey that I was on, and I started a journey with another person, and again lost a lot of myself, and that kind of put me on a different path, and then in 2023 I lost my job in tech. Contract ended, but I had taken this contract job because I had convinced myself that I needed a break from the career that I was in and building. So I kind of set myself up a little bit. So 2023, that contract ended, and I was left wondering what the hell I was going to do. Because right after my contract ended, there were a lot of layoffs in the Seattle area in the same field. So I'm up against people who look a whole lot better than I do on paper. And it became a struggle of survival, for 2 years. It was, I was doing everything I possibly could to pay my bills and not be a financial burden on the person that I was in a relationship with. So I was trying to cover my end, and through that, we'll just dive right into the business, because here we are.
Yeah. Well, I want to hit before we do that. I want to jump into some words that you're saying here, because the comfort of codependence is such a powerful phrase, right? The way the brain is designed is it's all about efficiency. It doesn't care what it is that you automate. It just cares that it can automate it for comfort. Right.
Yeah.
So the brain seeks comfort and efficiency. And a lot of people are worried about whether they're lazy or, they're stuck or broken forever.
Yeah.
And truly, your brain doesn't care. All it does is automate whatever you give it. So when you say the comfort of codependency, the brain created a comfort level there, even though it wasn't healthy for you.
Right.
It decided, you know what, we're going to automate this because we know what to expect here and we can handle this. And this is very comfortable, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And it was, it was a pattern that was created from my childhood, which I think we talked a little bit about my childhood in the last episode. We'll probably dive into some more of that because it makes sense, where we are today.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that became this. I mean, that was my little pocket, right, of being codependent. It was like I'll show up for people because I would, if I'm feeling a need, I feel needed, and everybody's good. That's not how it works. So,
and a lot of this stuff, and I know Zach, because Zach and I went to high school together, known him since junior high, technically speaking, from some football and some other things, and mutual friends. But I knew who Zach was in high school, but what I didn't know about Zach was his upbringing and the things that he went through. And, mom was went to jail.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So maybe just quickly
Yeah.
hit that, because then they can go back and watch the full episode. But
Yeah.
7 years old, my mom goes to prison, and then we get bounced from family to family. I'm going to different aunts and uncles, and I finally land in Illinois with my great aunt and uncle.
Yeah.
My grandmother's oldest brother, and his wife. They take care of us, and it was good. That was comfortable. And then it lasted only a short period of time. Mom gets out of prison. She comes back to get us. She, takes us back to California. She's immediately back into her life.
Yeah.
She goes back to prison.
Wow.
We get bounced again. And that continues, right? That pattern of instability continued. We moved back to Utah, 7th grade. 7th grade, I moved back to Utah, and things are okay, but then they're not.
Yeah.
Things get progressively worse at home, right? Older brother, he moves out. Little brother goes to live with his dad. So now I'm stuck at home. I've got nowhere to go, right? So my sole purpose at this point as, a teenager is take care of mom. Do what I can to take care of mom. And that requires, going to school, going to work, doing everything that I can. Don't worry about me, right?
Right.
I'm not an option right now, right?
Yeah.
It's like, let's keep it moving. And that became my pattern. Right?
Yeah. Okay.
Take care of mom, take care of everybody else around me. Right. And so I did. Fast forward.
And the only person he could trust was himself.
Right? Yeah. Because everybody else, they're going to, givers give, takers take. Right. And I was giving, not getting anything in return. I was like, well, I don't need anybody. Right?
Yeah. Okay.
I need to be needed by
independence, right?
I need to be needed by people to feel valued, right? But I don't need anybody. Right?
Yeah.
And that became the pattern, right? And that was how I lived forever. Yeah. And it's how I lived through my marriage. It's how I lived through the next relationship. It's just how I've operated until recently.
The pattern, okay, so I'm sure people watching this can relate, is we all have our version of that story, right? You have your version, I have mine, Ryan has his, and viewers have theirs, and initially when we're in development, we're absorbing the world around us, and that's what we're engineered to do. So there's no interruption in it. We absorb everything at a million synaptic connections a second, right? And it's unbelievable how much we absorb. And then we don't start trimming it out until about 13. And then from 13 to 25, we trim it out even more and really land on our identity. And much of that identity is set around what we experienced. And so it would make sense that you created patterns, not out of a bad habit or anything, but just purely survival, right?
Exactly.
And you were doing the best you could with what you had, right?
Yeah. And that was it.
And then should we open up this chestnut?
Let's go. I know exactly where you're going. So let's go.
So then, on top of that, and Zach is going to talk about it because I'll mess up the story. But the long and short is he finds out that he's kind of like not wanted.
Yeah, I was truly, people say, oh, I wasn't wanted. I was, growing up, my mom used to joke and tell me that I was an accident. Right?
Okay.
Like, oh, you were an accident. I was like, yeah, I know, Mom. And about late 2022, I get a text message from my oldest brother. It's late at night. It's like 11 o'clock at night. I'm laying in bed. I get a text message, and it's a group text between me and my brother. My older brother. He says, I got something to tell you guys. I'm like, what the hell do you want? It's late. Make it quick. I'm going to bed. And he was like, we've got different dads. And I said, well, no shit. Because, I'm thinking, because my little brother, I grew up thinking that my little brother, he's got a different dad. My older
Yeah.
brother and I, we share a dad. This is the story that I've had my entire existence.
Yeah.
He said, "Oh, no. He's like, you and I, we have different dads." Rocked everything that I had known.
Holy crap. Yeah.
I said, "Oh shit." So he tells me the whole story. I said,
Yeah.
"Oh, okay, cool. Let me chew on that. I'm going to bed." Go to bed. I get a phone call from my mom the next day. And she says, "So I guess you heard the news." Sure did, Mom. What else you got? Since you're on a truth tour, what else do you have? Right.
Yeah.
I said, "What about me?" I said, "So let's talk about that." Right. And she's like, "Yeah, we should." She's like, "You remember when I used to tell you you were in an accident?" I said, "Yeah." She's like, "Oh, you were absolutely unplanned. And we almost terminated the pregnancy." So they truly did not want another child. Right.
Right.
And it makes sense because here my biological father is now raising somebody who isn't his. Right. Because my mom, she made some choices right after they got married. She ended up pregnant. I get an older brother. So he's already got one that's not his, but he's raising him.
Yeah.
So then he's got me. They did not want me. They were like, "Nope." But Grandma came to the rescue. Grandma was like, "No, you're gonna have that one." So
Yeah.
so here I am. So she tells me this, and then everything else from my childhood just kind of starts to click. Right after I was born, I got really sick. I spent better part of my first year in an incubator. I was in the hospital. I was the unwanted sick child, right? My dad then leaves while I'm a baby because he couldn't handle whatever it was. Cool. So I deal with that. And I knew that part. I knew he left when I was really young, but I didn't know the rest of it.
Yeah.
Right? So here I've got this. I've got this bit of news that my mother has now shared when I'm, in my 40s, and she's like, "Hey, by the way, we really didn't want you,"
Oh, yeah.
You're thinking, okay, now I've learned some things and
Right.
I've progressed and I've gotten this far, and now
You know-
starting to find myself, and then whack, he gets his knees taken out again.
Wow.
And growing up, I struggled with always feeling unwanted. Right.
Okay.
So I mean, even in high school, right? I struggled making friends because I was like, they're not going to want all of me, right? They don't want.
Something in you knew, even though you couldn't verbalize it,
Yeah.
that there was this feeling of unwantedness.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
So that, and
And for protection, he kept people at a certain distance, right?
yeah.
Just
we are
Yeah.
great friends between the hours of 7:30 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. Best buds. Don't talk to
Right.
me after school. Right? You don't want to know what's happening over here. Like,
Yeah.
let me keep you over here. So that feeling of being unwanted and feeling unwanted, that carried through my whole life. Right. So it was hard to really invest fully in relationships. I've had a lot of time to reflect on my marriage. I didn't fully invest in the 18-year marriage because I was like, "Man, you don't really want me. I serve a purpose." Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm wanted around here for a number of things, but you don't actually want me. Cool.
Yeah.
So I left. And then, again, dive into a relationship with somebody that I'd known for a very long time. She's a great friend. We make great friends. We do not make great partners.
Mm.
And so even then, I never felt truly wanted, right?
Mm.
Didn't feel wanted in the relationship. And the dynamic never really worked. So that feeling of being unwanted and dealing with all of that over the last couple of years and kind of I'm talking to my therapist about that, I'm going through therapy. I'm diving in deeper, we go into, I go into hypnotherapy. I go into ketamine therapy. I'm breaking open doors in my brain that I've kept closed for a reason, and this is April of 2025 that all of this starts to really take shape, right? Where I'm going to all these really intense therapy sessions. And the more I dive into that, the more it really uncovers this feeling of being unwanted,
Yeah.
and that my value is only in what I can provide, which oddly enough, I was running my business at the time, and looking back on that, that was really born not only out of necessity for money, but also this need to be needed, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you don't want to mow your lawn? I got it. You don't want to build a rock wall? I got it. I'll
Yeah.
plant
Yeah.
I'll remove your trees, whatever it was, right? And it was this feeling of I felt needed, right? So the more clients I got, the more I felt needed. And I was like, oh, this is great. I'm running a successful business. No, it wasn't. I was running
Yeah.
myself out, right?
Yeah.
So then we fast forward to September 20th. It's a Sunday morning. I wake up 6 a.m. My eyes open, and I said, I got to go. I got to go. Don't know how, don't know where, but I got to go.
Yeah.
So I packed up my truck with as much as I could in the rain. I grabbed my cat, hopped in the truck, I gassed up, and I drove for 12 hours and came back to Utah.
Huh.
No plan.
No plan.
No job.
No
Nowhere to
job.
live.
I've quit my job. I'm calling all of my clients from my property maintenance company. I'm calling them on the drive saying, hey, I'm leaving town. Don't know when I'll be back. I wasn't sure if this was a permanent thing, if this was temporary, but I knew that I had to go.
Yeah.
Because I knew that the life that I was living and the life that I had been living was not for me. And I knew that I had to at least come back to Utah to address a lot of it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Families from here. I was born here. Got a lot of history. But I skipped it. I skipped a very important piece here.
Yeah. Yeah.
A month before that happened, I got a text message from my brother from my dad's first marriage, who we've reconnected on, social media. He came to Seattle to visit. We've got a great relationship. He texted me and he said, hey, I don't know if this is going to hurt or help your journey. He said, but the old man's got 8 weeks to live. Okay, cool. Immediately follows up with a text message. Oh shit, I wasn't supposed to tell you. So even on my father's deathbed, he wants nothing to do with me. So, okay, cool. So then my dad died about a week later. Still, do not tell your brother. Yeah. So I never got to confront any of that, right? I didn't get a chance to find out his side of the story, not for any combat or anything, I wanted to hear his side of the story, because all I got was what I got from him.
You're left with like pieces or holes or gaps,
Yeah.
and same like in my story is like when you don't know, your mind is left to race and to make up all kinds of stuff, whether they're true or not. You make them true, and then you live your life according to that way.
Right.
And so when I woke up that Sunday morning, a lot of it had to do with the fact that not only had I been living for everybody else, right? And I had abandoned my journey once before, right? Because I was on my path. Well, when I first got involved with you guys, I was on my path, and I was doing really well, right? Mentally, I was in a great place. Physically, I was in a great place.
Right.
I was doing the things that I wanted to do for me. Again, gave those up. But that Sunday when I woke up, a lot of it had to do with the fact that because I had been living for everybody else and seeking some truth that I was never going to find, it was time to just create my own.
Yeah.
So I said, fuck it.
Yeah.
And I had no plan.
Yeah.
I literally had no plan. I called my brother on the way, and I was like, hey, I'm coming home.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, cool. You can stay here for a little bit. All right. So I stayed there for a little bit.
Yeah.
We won't get into that. That don't matter. But, so not a single plan. And then, I told people I was coming, but I did not tell people I was already here.
Yeah.
For example, this guy.
Yeah.
I did not realize I had been following or I hadn't been following Ryan Morris on TikTok. And he shows up on my FYP, and I was like, huh, okay, follow.
Interesting. Yeah.
And then he
Interesting.
sends me a message.
The FYP knows.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a good algorithm.
He sends me a message, and we reconnect, and he was like, we should hop on a Zoom call or something, and resume our normal patterns. And I was like, brother, I said, Zoom calls are for long distance. I'm coming home. Granted, I had already been here for like 4 days, but I was telling Ryan this morning. I was still in this mode of coming home.
Yeah.
I hadn't fully accepted the fact that I just packed all my shit and drove 1,000 miles.
Yeah.
On a whim. Like, man, here we go. And again, I was left to figure it out.
Can I take a moment to piece all this together? I'm going to use the 12 journeys as the framework for this. Because there's so much here, and this is so recent. This is actually really cool because you're at a stage in your life where you can dive into something totally new. But I want to highlight from the 12 journeys perspective, everything that's going on here. The ideals that you had of who you were, identity being the same, right? Identical.
Right.
So identity is simply what's in here aligns with what's out here. Right. And so as much as you're able to, you create this life out here that matches that inner world. And that's what all of us do is we try and match that up. We look for confirmation in it. Now, there was a huge disruption in all of that. Right. So we look at the identity that was created over your life, and that's the non-conscious journey, which is all the automation. And the brain is amazing at being able to automate all of that. Yeah. And it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't care if it's useful or not. It's going to automate it, and it's going to find comfort in the discomfort. And so when that happens, we get into our patterns and routines, and unless there's a disrupt or interruption of that, we just run that program. 95% of our thoughts are automated. 5% are original. 70% of those are negative. 40% of your habits are automated. You don't even have conscious awareness of them. We're acting and responding up to 8 to 10 seconds before we even have conscious awareness of it, because our brain is so automated, it can do that, right? So when something happens in our environment, we react to it so quickly because our brain already knows what to do next.
Right.
So then you go into the journey of awareness, which is a wake up. And this is where people get disrupted in the negative loop, right? So they wake up to it, and then that awareness gets judged, it gets shamed, it gets blamed, it gets guilted. All of the negative perceptions show up around that awareness. And this is where we teach in the journey of awareness is a gentle curiosity, observer of, yeah, this is happening. And you'll be able to piece this together with me as we move through it. But then come all the emotions from that awareness, the sensations, I say. Because the emotions are so complex, they're like a palette of colors. You can paint anything with those sensations. And so your brain's like, I'm going to paint this picture. And then it confirms that in the environment. And so in the journey of grief, we talk about the emotions because that's where people get stuck. Yeah. And so they go into the negative loop and they stay stuck in a negative pattern, and they start to blame the world. They start to blame others. They blame themselves or shame themselves. And in the journey of acceptance, which is the next journey, they don't accept what is or acknowledge what is. They resist it. Yeah. Like, this can't be, I'm not going to do this. And so now we're in this vicious cycle between those four journeys of not only our old patterns, but our judgment of those patterns, the negative sensations associated with those, the resistance to what is. And then we get stuck in a loop of negativity where we don't get a chance to grow. Now, what I see that's a little different in this is when we go into the journeys of gratitude and empowerment, these are all the root journeys here. The gratitude just simply is an acknowledgement of what's good in your world, or the abundance that you have to draw from. And you start to see that, oh, I have all these resources around me, and I can draw from those to create whatever I can imagine here. In your case, you not only saw possibility there, but you acted on it pretty dang quick, right? The journey of empowerment is how to navigate all of that. That's all the tools you use to just stay sane while you're going through it. Where you're at now is really stepping into the growth journeys of there's nothing written.
Yeah.
There's nothing on the table, right? And this is another place that people get stuck and thrown back into their automations, is that instead of looking for possibility, they worry, right? So they start to predict all the negative that's going to happen from this uncertainty. Now, this is where I see you playing a little bit is I don't see the worry here. I'm going for this. I'm going to create because I can count on this guy here to create whatever I want. How am I doing? Am I?
You're doing really well. And,
Yeah.
and actually it's funny because again, we were talking about some things, and I want to touch on one key moment in this recent journey. I said I was staying with my brother for a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Brother's he's renting the basement of a friend's home.
Yeah.
I'm staying there, and I immediately in that short period, and I was only there for a couple of weeks, but in that short period, I had dove right into my old patterns, my people pleasing, because I'm like, oh, they've opened their home to me. I got to do, right? Let's prove my worth while I'm trying to sort my life out. I left after a couple of weeks, and I said, I need to get out of here, whatever it takes. I went and got a hotel. And as I'm unpacking, right, and it happened to be another Sunday. I got this thing about moving on Sundays. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
great.
Get a little pattern there.
Yeah. As I get everything unpacked, and I'm standing in the center of this hotel room, I sent a text message. I sent a text message to Ryan, and I'm going to read it.
Yeah.
I said, Ryan, I said, I hope it's okay to lean on you here. I said, I'm going to be real and honest with you, man. I'm fucking terrified. No idea what I'm doing or how I'm going to do any of this.
Man.
And I was, and there was this moment where it was raw. And I think the biggest part of that was I recognized my patterns, right? And I have used pattern recognition as a defense mechanism and a weapon my entire life, because it was like, oh, I've seen this before. I know what this looks like. I'm out. But recently I've turned that inward, right? And I recognized my own patterns.
Okay.
Right. And I'm like, maybe, just maybe these patterns don't fucking work.
Yeah. Okay. This is great, right?
So I
yeah.
And the biggest pattern in that, especially that text message, the biggest pattern that I have been able to undo is this hyper independence.
Okay.
Because a year ago, I never would have sent that text message. I never would have said to anybody, I am fucking terrified. I don't know what I'm doing. I'd have been like, it's fine. I'll figure it out, and I'll cry silently.
It's a trauma response, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hyper independence is a trauma response.
Of course it is. Of course it is. So in that breaking of that one pattern, because there's a million of them, we can get into those all day long. But in breaking that one, and one, becoming vulnerable and leaning on somebody, and two, recognizing that it's okay to not know what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm going to figure it out eventually. Something's going to happen, right? It really started everything. It put everything in motion. It was like, oh, I got the jobs. I got, I was able to land the apartment and all of that. So I owe this guy a lot, but it was
through the vulnerability, right? I mean, you sent that,
it opens the door, right?
Yeah. And also, though, what came up for me is that there was like this heavy, the sense of brotherhood and responsibility of sorts that hit. There was a lot of emotions that hit.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things for me that hit, because some of the things that we've gone through are similar in abandonment issues and the way that we lived our lives. I told Zach on a phone call, I viewed him as Zach motherfucking Ricketts. Like, this guy was cool, had these cool clothes, in high school, and he was friends with a lot of people, and had no idea all this stuff was bubbling under the surface. and then in his story, I could relate to everything that was going on. So when then he hit me with that, hey, I need to lean on you. I'm like, oh, well, yeah. Well, I get
Yeah.
abandoned a lot, so I don't know if you want to lean on me. Like so it's like all these stories that started playing on me, and
Yeah.
it took me a couple hours actually to process for just a second, and I didn't mean to leave him hanging on like red.
Yeah.
And I just like, look, man, like I'm not going to let a brother go down,
Yeah.
and it's going to be work, but I'm not going anywhere.
I,
And but then I didn't do the work. I mean, I did my own work.
right.
This guy then went, you know what? Okay, cool. At
Well,
least I know I've got somebody next to me to run with me.
yeah.
Boom, and then the dominoes started falling.
We're not out of the woods yet, though. So I want to anchor in here. Okay.
Yeah. Oh no, we're
Um,
still in the woods. Don't worry, I still got an axe.
yeah. No, I want to play here because I see some of these comments. It can be a movement towards something. I just had this imagining. I've seen these TikTok videos of people where they're on the ocean, they're on the beach. There's a body of water, we'll say north of the beach, but it's not connected, right? And they'll cut a little stream in it, and it'll go from a little trickle of water to the ocean to a raging river to the ocean, right? But it takes that initial movement or that connection between the two parts for that movement to happen. Now, here's why I say we're not out of the woods yet, because this is so recent. It takes about 18 to 258 days to create a single habit, right? So if you're battling, and I want to give grace to people that are watching this, when you're battling your old patterns, they are going to come up. Beck French, Rebecca, who's part of our Limitless community, she shared, about having a pattern. It would show up, and then she would scrap it all and start all the way at the beginning. And I said to her, well, we'll just stop and catch the connecting train. Don't go all the way back to the origin and start all over. Just from wherever you are, pick back up. And this is the battle, is your old automations haven't gone away. So all that programming, all that experience, all these stories and narratives are still fully running in there. And you're starting to position and move in a new direction. So I'm going to pull in a couple of the growth journeys here, because I think this is essential, and I'll let you go here. The journey of uncertainty is that none of us really know what's going to happen next. We can't predict the future. Our brain does its best to predict, but it generally does that off of past experiences. So when you go into something new and you've never faced this before, it like you said, I'm fucking scared. It's the brain gets into that position of, I'm scared. I don't know what to do. I want to revert back to old patterns because it's comfortable there. Yeah. It's like, Zach, you're costing me so much energy here. Let me please just go back to our automations because it's efficient, dude. Right. Yeah. And so there's a challenge in the beginning, especially of battling through and cutting the pathway, the new pathway, long enough for that to become an automation. Yeah. Now, the cool thing about what you're facing here is that now that everything is possible because of the unknown, and you're scared facing the unknown, the abundance is already around you. So Ryan didn't have to be created for that abundance to appear. He was already there, right? But for you to tap into that abundance, you had to first see it as a possibility and then be willing to risk, right? Yeah. Asking, hey, can you do this? So part of this is the vision. The journey of vision is all about, well, where are you going? What are you going to create from here, even if it fails miserably? And then the surrender and the nurture that go into this, those two journeys are powerful because you don't know how it's going to go. You have to let go, right? And then the nurture is, we want it to happen right now. I want to wake up to this stuff and be fixed immediately. And the nurture is, no, it took you 45 plus years. I don't know your age, Zach, but
pretty close.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. So those years of fully automated doing and being, right? You're being, expressing, and the doing. To create the new you is going to require a nurture of small self-similar patterns repeated, creating the complexity of your life. And ultimately for the 12th journey is your impact and the ripple you want to make in the world, right? So now I'm going to quit ranting for a minute and let you run with what you've, put this all together for us from what you just heard.
Yeah. So, I mean, you've really hit it, right? Because again, Ryan and I were talking about that, right? These patterns, right? Because it is so, it's easy for me to just fall back into, this comfort with discomfort, right? I did not like this, this need to be needed. I never liked it. I didn't want it. That's why I've left it so many goddamn times.
But it was known, right? So,
Yeah.
But it was,
Yeah.
It was all I knew.
It's the shitty familiar.
I'm like,
Yeah.
It sucks, but it's okay. It's fine. It's comfortable, right? It's like an old pair of shoes, right? The new ones, they're gonna give me blisters. They're gonna look cool. The new ones are gonna give me blisters. These old ones, though, they've been reliable. Sure, they got some holes in them, but they're
what to expect, right?
right. But
Well, this is why most people resist change even when it's good for them.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I've been, as we're talking and just kind of thinking,
Yeah.
I have been on this path to change subconsciously since really I lost my job in 2023. I never figured out the right path because it was like I lost my job, dove right into a relationship, and I was like, okay, I can just shift my focus to this. I can just make somebody else happy. I don't have to worry about me. I'm
You
fine.
can go into old routines, right?
Exactly. So I subconsciously I've been on this path of carving out new way, right? And abandoning these old patterns. Even as ridiculous as it sounds, right? Not getting a text message in a timely fashion, right? If I send something and I don't get a response, old me would have been like, oh, what the fuck, this person doesn't like me, they hate me, Now I'm just like, the response will come.
It's been fun to watch, Zach, too, because nowhere to live, not really, no job, no, just left a relationship, all this stuff, and he comes here and he starts going through this, and then putting into practical application. Like you got to get out of survival. We talked about Amy and her, one of our guests in the previous episode as well, where homeless, essentially living out of his car, and having to get out of survival. But then also some of your baseline is all of your old patterning. So that's on top of the survival mode. It could be a tough road, but then he's consciously looked at himself instead of using like all of the like we called it pattern recognition. He could use it as a weapon before, or turn it around and just be the old Zach that everyone knows and loves.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's turning it inward and catching it and going, oh, okay, old pattern. There it is. Yep. Okay, there's an old pattern.
Yeah.
And then doing what we've talked about on this show for forever, Steve Harvey does, is he catches it and then he flips it and he shifts it and he adjusts. He
redirects it, right? Redirects
it. And so now, as it's coming in, he's had some stuff where, like, he was, like the job stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what am I going to do? And this job, money, and all these things equal my success and who I am. Well, then he was like, no, they don't.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But he needed something for survival. Yeah. So he's like, man, I gotta, I feel best when I go to the gym and I work out and I take care of Zach. So he goes to the gym and he gets a job at the gym from 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. Yeah. It's something. It's like what, 12 or 13 bucks. That's like the cheap. It's like nothing, right?
I'm not
like a high school kid again.
But this is real. Like this is. So continue, and then I'll share my thought here, Ryan.
Well, that was it. That's just it, though. Is as things are coming up, he's going, okay, no, I'm gonna simplify all of this. I'm gonna watch my patterns, and then I'm gonna catch them, and I'm gonna consciously shift. And it's a practice. It's not been easy.
No. We were talking about this again this morning because last night, I'm sitting at home. And because I got my apartment, right? I've been in my apartment, a week and a half. you know, I'm in my first full weekend in my apartment. And I'm sitting there and I'm doing my laundry and I'm just kind of hanging out and I'm looking around and this is not the nicest place I've ever lived.
Yeah.
Cool. Great. It's a tiny apartment. I mean, I could throw a tiny pebble from my bedroom and hit my front door.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of stuff. Most of the stuff that's in my apartment has been gifted to me by people, and I'm eternally grateful. But
Yeah.
it was not my stuff, right? And the old me would have been like, "Look at you, you piece of shit! You're living in this tiny little apartment.
Yeah. This is great. Yeah.
You suck
Yep.
at life. Look where you are." And I would have just gotten down on myself. But I sat and I'm not even kidding. I sat there on my bed with this huge smile on my face, and I was just like,
Yeah.
I was like, this is all I need. This is
Yeah.
literally
Yeah.
all I have. I have everything that I need right now, right here. Everything else that I
Here's the funny thing, and by right here, right now, everything you need, right? It's
Yeah.
right. Oh, always been
Yeah.
right here.
So
We just made up all kinds of shit along the way.
Right. But
Right.
I am perfectly content. I have a roof over my head. I've got a support system in place that I can lean on. I've got relationships that are blooming that I never would have imagined, right? And none of it has to do with the job that I have, the size of my bank account,
Mm.
the size of my house, the car that I drive, the watch that I'm wearing. None of it matters, right?
Yeah.
All that matters is I am here,
And banana bread.
but I do have banana bread. I hope there's some upstairs. Jesus. But I have everything that I need,
Yeah.
and it's something that I gave me.
Yeah.
I woke up that Sunday, and I did this for me. This is not about anybody else.
Yeah.
Anybody else who wants to come along for the ride? Fuck yeah, let's go. But I'm not doing this for anybody but me. And that's where I found so much peace in all of this chaos.
Okay. I want to hit this here. Like what Hugh just said, the serenity and simplicity, it really is that simple. When we look at social measures of wealth, success, accolades, fame, whatever, society would say these are the things that you should shoot for. And we are wired for social connection. I mean, it is in us to be connected socially. And so we develop learning to, mold ourselves to fit social expectations. And what I love the most about this and what you're describing here is it's not about social measures of financial success. What we do in the 12 journeys is beyond social measures. It's really looking at, the simplicity of I have enough and there's enough around me that I can really play here. And when you get into judgment and justification, this is where people shut down when they get into that awareness journey and they really start to judge themselves. Well, now they're measuring between who they are and who they think they should be by these social standards. And then all of that suffering is generated inside of that gap.
It's self-generated there.
Yeah. And the reality is that when you look at you as you are, you're already enough. That was never a negotiable. Yeah. And the measurements that you have are not, I have to do this for my own ideal and my depression and anxiety, because they're measured, right? Yeah. This is what I want to create. What else could I create from here? This enoughness, right?
Yeah. And it's funny. I have this tattoo that I got 5 years ago.
Yeah.
When I left my marriage, right? I went and got a tattoo on a Sunday. Oddly enough, God, everything happens for me on Sundays. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Things on earth are on Sunday, Nick.
Right.
Here we are on Sunday.
But I have a tattoo on my forearm that reads, "I am worthy."
Mm.
And I have spent the last 5 years trying to prove that to myself.
Yeah.
But up until the last month, I never believed it.
Yeah.
And that's the key, though, right? It's like you can tattoo it, you can say it.
That's the thing.
You read believe it.
So,
But you,
And
all
it's an
the
inside job.
we're unworthy, just
right.
so you know.
But all the good, all the abundance, everything that has just come flooding in the last month and some change, I've always been worthy of it.
Yeah.
I've just denied myself all of it
Suffering
because
paradise that
I
we talk
didn't
about.
Well,
believe it.
there's some gentleness here. Let me play with this because you're not the only one, right, that does that. And somebody watching the show is going to think the same thing. I do the same thing, right? And
All of us here.
yeah, I do it. And so the worthiness was never negotiable, right? It was always there, but there's still a story and a narrative that runs, and it will come up. So even in your change here, that story of I'm not enough is going to come up again because it's been repeated. And the only reason it was created in the first place was for survival. You had to get through the environment you were in. And so you develop that. If I can be unworthy, then I can push myself to do things that are worthy, right? That people will give me accolades for being worthy, right? And I need that social connection. I need to matter. So you create this identity as a protector to do that. The challenge is that that protector is skewed, right? And so the awakening that you're having, I love this because it's real. We didn't bring you on the show because you wrote a successful book or you're a multimillionaire or any of that crap, you know, and maybe some people,
We have the same hair.
some people will do that, you know, but that's not the measure. The measure is you're seeing your value, you're seeing your potential and your power. And now you're stepping into a new pathway, and it's going to take repetition and persistence, right, to create that. We're at an hour here, and I want to keep going for just a minute, right? So just looking at this entire journey, I want to play with impact and legacy and vision, okay, just for a minute here. So we're going to have a little bit of a jam session. When you think of the impact you want to make in the world, for you, Zach, you know, what ripple do you want to make in the world from all of this experience?
I honestly, like, I want anybody else who can relate in some way to my story. And we've all got our own journey. We've all got our own stories, our own, you know, we have our own origins. I want somebody to be able to look at this and believe that they too are enough for the things that make them feel whole. Right. It's funny. Last week, I went to lunch. I was, you know, I just got off work at the gym, and I went to Einstein Bagels. So I'm standing in line, and I used to have this hoodie. I say used to because I'm getting to that. I used to have a hoodie on the front. It says "You are enough." On the back, you know, reads something effective to the person behind me.
Yeah,
you're loved. Love the person in front of you, right? A lady taps me on the shoulder, lady behind me, and she was like, "I love your hoodie." She was like, "I've been wanting to get one of these." She was like, "But I've never pulled the trigger." Didn't think about it, took it off, gave it to her. Because that's the legacy that I want to leave. That's the ripple, is acting in kindness. Because the things that I do, the kindness that I show when I'm being my true, genuine self, is not because I feel like I need to. It's not born out of this codependent need to show my worth. It is, I genuinely want to see the person next to me, the person in front of me, the person on the other side of the room. I want to see them smile, and that's the
ripple.
That's what I'm here for.
And the cool thing about this, Nick, too, is that, and he shared this with me, and Zach, nothing's sacred with me because I'm just kidding. Ain't got no secrets. The best part about that story is that this lady, you know, was you know, needed that at the moment, wanted it, never did it for herself, and then Zach was able to do it, and then he says to me, he says, "I finally believe it, that I am worthy."
Yeah.
And I don't need another one. So this is I don't need to keep trying to remind myself that I'm worthy, because now I know I'm worthy.
Yeah. So this is the beauty of when you anchor into that, that ripple that you want to make, then everything else in your journeys aligns with that. So your visions. So Pablo Picasso, this is the quote that's coming to mind, is the meaning of life is to find your gift, and the purpose of life is to give it away. And what I love about the word purpose is it's Latin for move forward to pause. It's like viewpoints or rest stops along the way. And purposes are myriad or infinite, essentially. You can have as many as you want. And so essentially your purposes are all the ways that you're going to create a ripple. So now you can align your vision. Now you can look at your actions and say, do they align with that purpose? And it threads through everything. Is my judgment of myself aligning with that purpose that I have, right? Is my story and my history, did it create me in such a way that now I can create an impact aligned with that vision and legacy, right? So there's nothing in your life that really went wrong here. It created you. And because of that, you've got this legacy inside of you, this gift. And that's what the word legacy is a gift by will. So your legacy is to make people smile, to let them know they're enough. And you never could have done that without your story, without all of this, without finding out that you weren't wanted, without finding out that you were an accident, without none of that could have happened. And you create your ripple in the world. Does that make sense?
It does. And, for the longest time, like I would look at my past. I would look at my story. I'd look at all the things that I experienced as a kid. And I felt shame for things that were not my choice.
Yeah.
Right. But I carried so much shame and guilt for my story that I was never truly who I am. Right. So now I will tell anybody my story. I'm like, you want to know me? Here it is. Right. Here you go. But this is what it shaped. Right. And
it's that connecting train that you talked about. Right. So he's not having to go backwards to then restart over and
you don't have to solve the past.
Right. Just he can share about it, say, hey, this was what it was, but I just hopped on the connecting train.
Right. Yeah. That was my stop over here, but I got places to be.
Yeah.
So, so it's that, and there's so much peace in it, right? There's I've reached a point now where I'm just like, none of what happened matters in the way that I thought it did.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, like it shaped me to what I am, and it's building the legacy that I'm leaving behind. I can show kindness and try to help another person smile because I know what it's like to live in the dark.
Yeah, you do. You do.
It
gives you a level of empathy. Yeah.
If I can bring a light, I mean, just a little one, if I can just bring enough light to get somebody, one person, I get one person to smile for just a second, I've done enough today.
It makes it seem like it's like a little tiny light. Like this dude brings like one of those 1 billion megawatt candle powered spotlights,
I'm coming with a
like
strike.
A Care Bear stare.
I'm coming with a strike anywhere match.
For days now.
It's gonna be enough. But if I can do that, then I'm doing okay.
That you have summed up what we're about. With the 12 journeys, too much people get hung up on the measurements of the external world. Nobody but you and that woman saw what you did that day. Now it's public here, right? But if it hadn't been, if you never told us this story, you would still carry that ripple in her life, and you don't know where that ripple is going to go from here. Right.
Yeah.
But you created a ripple, whether anybody was watching or not, whether anybody was measuring or not. In your unique way, you created an impact in her world, and who knows where that's going to carry out, right?
Yeah.
And that's what the 12 journeys is about. It's not about you becoming a millionaire or you writing that next best-selling book or you being famous. It's about what positive ripple are you going to make, and how do we get you into the space so that you can actually do that? Because a lot of people are stuck in the story of judgment and shame and blame and guilt over their past and their history. and they're not making a ripple because who are they, right?
Well, it's like I told Ryan this morning, because we were talking about society, right?
Yeah.
And society's expectations, and pardon my French, but I said, fuck society.
Yeah. Okay.
They don't matter. Society doesn't shape who we are. And that's the other piece of that. I was
Who you really are.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was trying to live up to expectations that I created because I thought that's what society wanted me to be. I
Yeah.
don't give a shit. I don't
Yeah.
care. I'm going to be who I am. And if you like it, cool. If you don't, okay.
Cool. Right.
You know?
So let me ask you this, as we come to the end of this here, and that went way too fast, but you really in an hour highlighted, the work we've been doing I wrote the book in 2009.
Yeah.
Right. In 2020, we launched the podcast, and in those 5 years, Ryan and I developed and put together the 12 journeys. And our entire work has been around how do we help people to see that they are already enough, that the stories that defined them no longer have to define them. And there is work and effort to re-automate the new patterns. You've summed that up in this single hour of what this journey looks like. And, you don't have an offer for us. You don't have a website for us to go through. There's no agenda here. There's just sharing.
That's why I wanted him to come on.
Yeah, this is beautiful.
It's like Ryan said last week, because we were talking about the show.
Yeah.
He was like, you are literally the giant and the small.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too.
Okay. Yeah, it's what he was saying. He was like, but it's just that, I got nothing to offer, but
yeah,
this.
So here's what I want you to do, though, as a wrap up here. If you could speak to the person across from you on the screen, not me and Ryan, but there's somebody on the other side of the screen, and you could just spend a moment with them to just say to them what you would want them to know from your experience. I just want you to take a moment and just speak to the person on the other side of the screen. What would you want them to know?
That little voice in your head, the one that tells you, good.
Pull that right up in. Let's get that mole, right?
No, that voice in your head, the one that tells you you're not enough, the one that tells you that you have to prove something. That voice doesn't matter. The only one that does is the one that you can truly lean into and believe, and your legacy is all that truly matters. Silence the rest of
it. Your legacy is all that matters. Your legacy. That right there. That's what this is all about. Ryan, final thoughts here?
It's been fun to watch, because I've known Zach for a long time, like I said, and we connected for a reason the second time, and then life, takes us in various paths, and away from the giants and living our own things and going down our own journeys and our pathways, and then came back together again, and I still believe that there are no accidents, that you're exactly where you're supposed to be, that you're right on time, that all of these things are just for that experience. That you go through different things. Now some of this is it's all a creation. So the best thing that I've heard in the last, I don't know, little bit, from you, Nick, specifically, is that catching that connecting train. That's like that for me. It just made it a simple transition in my world to go, yeah, I just catch a different train. We choose a different path. We've talked about this stuff, but it just helped me to remember, no, you don't have to like start all over and relive everything and try to, go walk backwards down the path, unhike the mountain.
You get halfway up and you're like, damn it, I'm not going to reach the top. So you go back to the beginning. Right? Don't do that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's just do us. It's just, for me, it's watching Zach put into play all of the things that he's learned from all of those experiences, and then just boldly step forward into it and doing it scared as hell, not knowing what it looks like, because it can be uncomfortable because you're not comfortable with it. You haven't done it. It's
Yeah.
like I've talked about playing t-ball all the time and how awkward it is for little kids to play t-ball. They don't know what the crap they're doing, so they run in all kinds of directions, swirl around. And they got their helmet way down.
They
and
run to first base like a T-Rex.
Yes, we've
Right?
talked about this.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's interesting, and
Yeah.
but we giving ourselves. He's done a really, really good job at giving himself grace this time around, and playing inside of that uncomfortableness,
Yeah.
and playing inside of what's next, and thens that we talk about. And then this happened, and we call each other and celebrate the wins. He's trying to figure out, oh gosh, can I afford an apartment? Can I do this? Can I do that? Not knowing if he's going to get it, and he does it anyway.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know, let's try. And then he calls me. He's like, those people gave me an apartment. He starts laughing. He's like, I don't even have a real job yet. I work at a gym for $12.
Yeah.
But okay,
Cool.
And then all of a sudden, guess what's taken care of?
Yeah.
The place to live, a
Yeah.
roof over his head. Now paying for it and doing the other things. That's
Right.
what happened. But
it's coming.
and then, hey, I don't have a job. So then he says, hey, well, what do we do? What do we got? I said, but man, I can check to see what's going on at my work. And boom, I even didn't show favoritism. Now I have my preferences.
Yeah.
I want to help Zach. I interviewed a bunch of other people. I had other people come in for live interviews. I delayed Zach and I put him off. And I said, I got to go through this process because I don't want to just have it be that I picked you just because.
And I told him, I was like, I want you to go through that process.
Right.
But I didn't want something to be handed to me.
Yeah. And on its own merits.
And I honestly, just being frank, I didn't want Ryan to be like, oh, I have to help this friend. Right? It was, we talked about it, and Ryan was like, I'll see what I can do. I was like, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, totally get it. Like, find the best person for you. Turns out it was this guy.
Yeah, it turns out the best person for the job he just had to burn everything down and come down to the job that we're at now.
It's just testament that you don't know what's going to happen next, and you don't know until you start stepping. You don't see that next step until you start stepping, and it's amazing how it comes together because you're never not worthy. It's always there for you. The challenge, Byron Katie said, I'll try and do my best here. As long as you think the problem is out there, there's no hope. If you think somebody else or someone else or something else is the issue, there's no hope. You're forever the victim and you're suffering in paradise, right?
Yep.
That last part that you're suffering in paradise is paradise never changed.
Right.
Paradise has always been here. And so until you can see it, then it's impossible, right?
You're
Sorry, I hate to tell you this, live, but you didn't get the job.
As a wrap up here, what I want to anchor in is, the importance of failure. The word failure means a negative yield from your efforts. The word success means a positive yield from your efforts. The law of nature is that you are meant to fail way more than you succeed, but the successes far outweigh the failures. And the only way to succeed is to go out and fail. And so many people are afraid to fail that they don't even take that first step. And I look at the oak tree at 10,000 acorns a year dropped, only one becomes a tree. It seems like such a waste for a universe and a God that can create a one and done, right? Why do we have that 10,000 acorns? Why do we have, the sun that puts off 600 million megatons of energy a second and only a billionth hits the earth? So inefficient, yet it creates all life, right? And it's more failure than success. And so what I would say is fail faster go out there and fall on your face faster. And it goes back to T-ball. These kids don't care about failure or the right way. They're just like, I'm going to get to first base. I'm going to do cartwheels. I'm going to be a T-Rex.
Who knows?
Yeah, I might go to third first, but I'll get there. Right. So, man, beautiful message. I really love this. I love where you're at in this. And, blessings to you and what you're creating here in your way, your unique way, because, as you step, Zach, you're rewriting your narrative and you're inspiring through that narrative. And your outer world will eventually line up with that inner world, but it does start with here first. And that's what I appreciate about your message is you're turning inward. There's another quote that says, if you fail to go within, you'll go without. And that is where you're at, is you're internalizing and shifting your dynamic of who you are and rewriting at 44, 45 years old, your life, and you've got a road ahead of you. So when you go back, because you will, when you go back to the old patterns, just catch the connecting train. That's all I would say. Any other thoughts, guys?
Thank you both for this, for wanting to hear me ramble about all my shit.
Yeah. Glad your life was a train wreck.
Yeah, thank you for being messy.
This is my guy right here. No, I appreciate it. And, this has been great. And we're just gonna keep going.
Awesome. Yeah. Can't wait to see. So for everybody that's watching, this show was for you. You also know somebody that could use this message today, so send it to them. If you're not on YouTube, subscribe, please do. It helps us with our visibility. The more subscribers we get, the more YouTube pushes this information out there, and we need more information like this. AI is changing things. That's the beauty of content like this, is where in the past you could play with it with SEO and keywords and all that and manipulate it. AI is cutting through that. So it's going to find these messages for the right person, just like Zach getting Ryan on his FYP page, right? It's like, there are no accidents. So if you know somebody that could use this message today, send it to them and say, hey, I was thinking of you. This is why I think this would be beneficial to you. You got to check this out and send it to them. So we appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for being a part of our journey. Your comments make this show. We love you. Go make it a giant day, and we will see you in the next episode.
Love you too.